Well, thanks for joining us, everybody, this evening. As a reminder, we're recording this meeting and we will post the meeting video and the meeting materials to our project website. This is our April 11th, 2024 filtration project information meeting. I don't know why I couldn't get that out. On our agenda today, can you go to the next slide, Aubrey? Michelle Cheek is here. She's our Deputy Program Manager, and she is going to share some general project updates. We also have John Kolkman here, and he is from MHW or MWH Hewitt Construction Team, and they are constructing the filtration facility. We also have Thomas here. He's not presenting, but he's here to keep tabs on John. So make sure he's given all the correct information. We will have opportunities for you to be able to ask questions throughout the presentations, but you can also just wait till the end. We will have a question and comments section then. So now I'll turn it over to Michelle.
Excellent. Thanks, Benita. Excuse me. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight. For new folks on the line, which we might have maybe a couple, I'll start with a brief overview of the project, followed by some quick updates before turning it over to John Kolkman for a few more details on our initial construction activities. And I highly recommend some tea and biscuits to go along with John's portion of the presentation. And you'll find out why later on when he starts talking. So this slide here is an overview of the facility site looking southwest from the main entry off of Carpenter Lane. And I'll do just a quick tour around the facility. So Aubrey, if you can help me with your mouse, that'd be great. So as you come into the facility off of Carpenter Lane and through that little roundabout area there, you'll come into our parking area. And then the main administration building will be the first thing you would encounter, where our operations staff will work once the facility is up and running. And then across the road from the administration facility, that is our maintenance facility there. And then back behind that is some of our chemical facilities and solid handling facilities. So that is where we will treat and process some of the solids that are produced as a result of the filtration facility. And we'll also house the chemicals that will be used for the treatment process. And then moving on from there, to the rest of the facility is our flocculation and sedimentation facilities. So that's where our raw water will come in, or unfiltered water will come into the facility, and our larger particles in the water will settle out before the water then makes its way to the filters themselves. And then from the filters, water is treated with chlorine for disinfection and ammonia to form chloramines, and also we'll add soda ash and carbon dioxide for corrosion control to the filtered water. And from the clear well, it will then go out into our transmission system, which is a good segue into the next slide. So in addition to the facility itself, we'll be constructing new water pipelines to convey water to and from our existing pipelines in the facility, and also a local distribution main, which will provide filtered water to some of our existing customers in the area. The unfiltered water pipeline will come up from Lusted Road into the west into the new filtration facility. And then our finished water pipelines, or filtered water pipelines, will leave the facility and head down Dodge Park Boulevard and then up north to Lusted Road, and then down Altman, where it will connect to our existing pipelines along the way. So access to the filtration facility site during construction and also our ultimate operations will be east off Cottrell Road and onto Carpenter Lane, entering the site from the north. One of our first construction activities will be improvements to Carpenter Lane itself. We'll be widening and paving the road to allow safe access to the site during and after construction. And we'll also have an emergency access to Bluff Road in Clackamas County to the south. Next slide. So since we met in January, we've completed some initial activities to prepare for the required road surface improvements along our construction haul and detour routes. Just yesterday, the guaranteed maximum prices for the remainder of the facility and pipelines construction contracts were accepted by council along with our annual report. These approvals will allow us to move forward with, sorry. Okay, sorry, little dog entertainment. Anyways, these approvals allow us to move forward with all aspects of construction once we have all our permit approvals in place. It will be a busy year of construction, and we're continuing to work with both the filtration and pipelines contractors on construction schedules and work sequencing. We're committed to sharing information with our project neighbors and local businesses as construction activities ramp up and throughout construction. And we'll continue ongoing communication and outreach to keep folks informed about our upcoming activities. Next slide. So we're still waiting on some of our permits that will allow us to start construction, but once we have those, we'll be ramping up quickly. In the meantime, we're continuing planning and administrative work needed for construction, such as submittals for materials and equipment. Some of the initial construction activities planned for this summer include road repairs and improvements to our haul and detour routes. We'll also be verifying some of our existing site conditions ahead of the initial pipe construction, including verifying the roundness of our pipes to ensure that our new pipe connects without any problems. The facility contractor will begin mobilizing equipment to the site and preparing the site for initial site excavation and grading. And John will share more detail about some of the planned construction activities at the facility site. Next slide. So there are 4 areas of what we call Fix It First road improvements, which are located along Altman, Lustig, Cottrell, and Hosner. These Fix It First roads are road segments that have been designated as haul or detour routes for construction traffic and must be improved prior to their use during construction. Improvements of these road segments will either consist of full depth reclamation using a cement additive or replacement with new asphalt concrete over base rock, and work on the Fix It First roads is expected to begin midsummer. Next slide. So as we're preparing for these roadway improvements, we'll be doing outreach to impacted property owners and informing them when and where improvements will occur. We're also coordinating with local utilities to ensure services are maintained. For example, as part of the construction planning, the contractor will coordinate with the Postal Service on mailbox relocation where needed, and will also be coordinating with water providers to relocate water meters where needed. The road improvements will happen 1 lane at a time, allowing for local and emergency access to be maintained during the roadway improvements work. And then after work is complete, we'll restore driveway connections where needed. And now I will turn it over to John Coltman to share more about our planned facility construction activities. So get your tea and biscuits.
Yeah, thanks for that, Michelle. So I thought I'd go over some of the construction activities that we've got coming up once all of the permits are in place. And one of those early activities is obviously the improvements to Carpenter Lane. And that encompasses a number of items that we'll be working on, sort of effectively widening the existing roadway to about 24 feet wide within that current right-of-way. A new asphalt surface would be included as part of that improvements, but also we need to make sure that we've got a couple of other effectively safety items as well as part of that road improvement, that it would include shoulders, 6-foot gravel shoulders for these roads. And in addition to that, one of the requirements from Multnomah County was to have a paved pedestrian path during the construction, given that this is the primary route in and out of the for the treatment plant construction. So some of the details on that, if we go to the next slide. The initial construction activities sort of are going to ramp up pretty quickly once we're given the go-ahead to get going. And so this summer is going to be quite a busy time for the work. Initially, mobilization of some of the heavy equipment that will have to come to site to facilitate us being able to do the major excavation work that's required to start building some of those facilities that we saw on the plant overview. And so we'll see that heavy equipment starting to come onto site. That's primarily dirt moving equipment. So it'll be scrapers, large excavators, off-road haul trucks that will just run on the job site itself. So that's going to be one of the very first things that we're going to see as part of the construction. But in addition to that, we've got to get a number of things outlined on the construction site to make sure that we can do the work in an organized and obviously a safe manner. So establishing site safety and security. One of the things that we'll have is secured access to the site. And part of that secured access includes installing a temporary perimeter fencing around the entire site that's going to be used for the treatment plant. And that temporary fencing eventually will get replaced at the end of the project with the permanent fencing. But for the purposes of making sure that the construction site is secure, having that temporary fencing in place. Before we can start construction, we need to have some of the utilities in place such that we can actually do the construction work. We'll need to have a source of temporary power for the construction from PGE. We'll need to have water supply. There'll be water supply run all around the site, including installation of some water hydrants and fire hydrants that will meet the requirements of the Gresham Fire Department. So we need to basically make sure that is all in place. And then as we start to set up some of those temporary utilities, the next thing that comes along is making sure that we're putting in the temporary roads so we've got access to the job site. We'll set up the construction office trailers for both the PWB, for the utility, for us as the joint venture building the plant, for all of the subcontractors that are going to be on the site. So there'll be a reasonably sized trailer complex for those offices. We'll have storage and maintenance facilities. As we buy equipment coming into the site, we need to have a good place to store that. We'll need to have a maintenance facility just available for servicing the heavy equipment. And the temporary roads are also important just to facilitate access around the plant. One of the things that we are making sure that we are doing is to pave some of those temporary roads going down into the job site, such that that will really help with both dust control and with track out of dirt, while we're still using a truck wheel wash facility. Having that paved surface inside as a temporary road will really assist with some of the dust and dirt management. And then erosion control measures, stormwater management for the site, all of these things that facilitate us to be able to get to a point where we're ready to start that site excavation. And really the key focus for the initial construction activities is over the course of this summer and fall is to do the mass excavation work. So digging the large hole that allows us to build the flocculation, sedimentation, and filters, and the clear well for storing the finished water. It's really important that we get that done this summer and going into fall, such that in the late fall and at the start of next winter, we would be able to then start work on installation of some of the permanent materials, such as the large underslab piping and starting on the concrete work. So that's sort of like a brief overview of what we can expect to see in these initial phase of the construction, and where when that work hopefully is going to occur. So next slide. I think I hand it back there.
All right, that's my slide. And I just want to give you a reminder to sign up for our e-news if you haven't already. And we are in the process of switching over to a new email news service. So it's a good time to update your preferences if you haven't recently, because we have a different options for you to choose from. You can have the monthly project updates, just the neighbor updates, or you can also sign up for public meeting announcements. New is that you can sign up for traffic related text alerts, which we will start sending those out once construction gets rolling. So please do check your preferences soon, and hopefully we can have a seamless transition to our new e-news portal. And that is our presentations for today. So if you have any questions or comments, we'd be happy to take them now. You can ask questions by taking yourself off mute. You can raise your hand if you want to be more polite. You can show your video and I can recognize you that way. There's also a chat you can type into if you have questions. Okay, so I see, oh, hi, Dean and Pat, welcome back. The question from Dean and Pat is, so the total cost of the project is 2.13 billion. Can you respond to that, Michelle?
I sure can. Yes, you're correct. We have presented updated total project cost to City Council yesterday, and our total program funding is now at 2.134 billion, as you note there. And that is based off our GMP 2s, our guaranteed maximum price 2s that we received from our contractors, and also the GMP 1s that we received and took to council last year. And then also includes some contingency as well.
Yeah, and I'll just also note too that because I know that it can be confusing about the Bull Run treatment projects and the Bull Run filtration project. They're actually, so the Bull Run treatment projects includes the Bull Run filtration projects, the facility and the pipelines, but it also includes the improved corrosion control facility that we completed in 2022.
Yep, thank you, Benita, for that.
No problem. Anybody else? And Mary is asking, what's the date of completion for the facility? Do you want to take that one too, Michelle?
Yeah, sure thing. So our regulatory compliance deadline requires that we deliver filtered water by September 30th of 2027. So that is a major milestone, but there may be work, or there will be work that is unrelated to delivering water that goes beyond that September 30th, 2027 date. Things like landscaping or final finish grading might go beyond the compliance date, but the compliance date's the key one there. and the date at which we're required to deliver filtered water to the public.
All right, great. Thank you, Michelle. Mary says thanks too. Anybody else? We got John, the construction guy here, and Thomas, the construction guy here. So any construction questions? That's okay, because you'll be seeing a lot more of them as we start gearing up for construction. And else, let's see if there's anything more. Any hands raised? Nope, I think we are good then. So our next meeting is July 11th, and we will maybe have a meeting sooner than that, depending on how our construction timeline goes. And after that, we'll have a meeting planned for October 10th. Again, you can always contact us from for our email, the Bull Run Treatment or Bull Run Projects, portland.gov. Or we also have on our website a comment form you can use. We also have a phone number you can call us at. So you think of other questions you have after this meeting, feel free to contact us that way. And that will be it for tonight. So thank you for tuning in, and we hope you have a great evening.